then what's this white stuff called? Sclera, right. And then this transparent part of the eye is called the in the front, the cornea, right? So the cornea. Oh, let me tape it together. Look how smart that was. Okay. So what's the as light's passing through the cornea, then it's going to hit what? What's the fluid that's going to be in there called? The aqueous humor, right? The aqueous humor, and then it's so this is the anterior chamber of the eye, and then it's going to go through that little hole. What's that little hole called? The pupil, right? And the pupil is in what the hole in which structure?
Iris.
The iris, right? And once it goes through that little hole, it's going to have to go through this gelatinous material over here, which is called the it's the other humor, not the one that's found here, but the vitreous, right? The vitreous humor, also called the vitreous body. All right, so then it's going to travel through all that fluid over here to get towards the back of the eye, and now it's going to have to go through a whole bunch of cells. So the cells of the eye are actually in reverse order from the activation of them. So it's going to have to pass through all the chains of the cells here to activate the rods and cones, which are going to be sitting here in the back, and then the phototransduction is going to occur this way, going from these cells of the eye going up here, ultimately ending up here on these ganglion cells. These ganglion cells are going to send their axons together. They're going to group all those axons together and send it out as a nerve. What nerve is that? It's called cranial nerve number 2, also known as the optic nerve, right? The optic nerve. And when those nerves leave the eye, they're going to leave the eye through a little groove back here, and that's going to be called commonly the what? What's a term for when you're driving? You might not see a car because it's in your blind spot, right? So it's going to be because that's where those nerves are leaving the eye. And then from the eye, they're going to go to what region of the thalamus?
Posterior.
Yeah, where? More specifically. Which geniculate nucleus? The lateral geniculate nucleus, right? Not to be confused with the medial geniculate nucleus, which has what information? Auditory information, right? Okay, great. Just make sure you're familiar with the structures of the eye that are listed in the lab report. Make sure you look at both eyes so you can be familiar with both of them. Depending on which one we pull, or we might have to use both for a couple structures. All right, let's grab the structure. What is this?
Ear.
All right.
Oh, that's big.
Already on your way to 100. All right, so this is the external ear, also called the auricle, right? And then what's going to, so the job of this outer ear is very, very simple. It's to funnel sound into the ear, right? So it's going to help us funnel the sound, and then as the sound gets funneled in, it's going to travel through the, what's this called? Auditory canal, or tube, or external acoustic. Yeah, okay. All right. And then it's going to hit this membrane. When it hits this membrane, what's that membrane called? Tympanic membrane, right? The tympanic membrane's very big compared to the other membrane that it's going to be hitting in a second. What's going to be in between these two membranes, making up the middle ear? What components make up the middle ear? They're bony. 3 of them. The auditory ossicles, right? Those auditory ossicles. What are the auditory ossicles? Malleus, stapes, incus. Okay, make sure you know those bones and make sure you can tell me the proper order of them as the sound is being transduced through the ear, where it's going. So tell me the structures that it's going through as it gets through the ear. On the other side, which one is the last auditory ossicle? You were saying your stapes, right? So the stapes is going to contact the oval window. Oval window's like, I don't know, it's like very small, like 5 millimeters big or something like that, compared to this tympanic membrane, which is much, much larger, like 50, 60 millimeters square. So it's a big mechanical transduction of sound now. So we need that mechanical transduction because we're going from sound traveling through air, going to sound traveling through fluid in the inner ear. So we need to be able to move fluid. So if there's a high impedance of sound when it hits fluid. If you ever need to test this, next time you're having a big argument with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever, go to the pool, continue the argument in the pool. As they start going, go underwater. Tell me what happens. Becomes very peaceful, right? Very, very peaceful because of that sound impedance. It can't travel through that fluid there. So that's why we have these auditory ossicles to help increase that transduction there from a big window to a small window, and just increase that amplification so that we can then move the fluid. So we're actually moving from sound moving in air to moving fluid. So it's going to be now fluid transduction once we're in the inner ear. What are these guys called?
Semicircular canals.
Yeah, semicircular canals. What are they involved in? Imagine if you're on a roller coaster.
Actually,
You keep your balance. Right. All right, and then this structure that looks like a shell, there's a snail. The cochlea, right? The cochlea. The cochlea isn't curled up like this. Isn't a spiral like in all animals. And like the snake, it's actually straight. But if it were straight in ours, it would pierce right through our brain. So what it's going to do is it's going to coil up in ours, and then we're going to be able to detect sound in there with movement of fluid on what's the name of the membrane that's going to be sensitive to sound. The basilar membrane in there, which will have different frequencies of sound. There's going to be a nerve that leaves out of here. What's the name of the nerve?
Auditory nerve?
Yeah. I'll take that. Auditory nerve. There are actually two components to the nerve. So we got a 2-for-1 deal on this cranial nerve. What are the two components? We're going to have the cochlear nerve, and then we're also going to have the vestibular nerve, right? So the two of them are going to make up our cranial nerve that's going to be leaving the ear. Okay, so make sure you go through the structures of the ear. You can appreciate that we are missing, and that's probably why we're missing some of them, the auditory ossicles. We've had a break here in our communication, but you should still know the order as they're getting transduced and be able to identify the components that we do have of the ear. Okay. Spinal cord model, where's that?
Right there.
All right. Which horn is this?